Ray, you mentioned when we spoke about some of the opportunities in Africa, there are lots of interesting and exciting things going on, and there is a inflow of capital into many of those countries, because I think Africa is probably the last continent on earth that still has a lot of development opportunities. But what would be the constraints? I would think about maybe infrastructure. Right?
True, yeah, there are a lot of constraints, and that's one question we have asked to us as the bank by our clients and potential future clients, guys looking to expand into other African countries, whether it be primary business or secondary. So farmers looking to diversify their operations. You guys alluded to the fact that land ownership in this country is moving through uncertain times. We hope that we can move to a point where there is more certainty in land ownership. But given the environment we're in, it's an environment that we see farmers want to hedge their property ownership, diversify their portfolio. Farmers these days are businessmen. They're looking at what return they can get. In the past, it was more of a lifestyle farming. Now it's business farming, because the guys that are not doing it for business are exiting due to profitability issues. So yeah, the farmers moving into, we find South African farmers, Mozambique, Zambia, Botswana are the key destinations, given their proximity, given that there are already a lot of other farmers, South African farmers, operating in those countries. So it allows us to understand the challenges, and you mentioned challenges. They are numerous, and I would say they're very much in line with the challenges we face here. So I try to tell farmers and agro businesses that if you have a challenge here in South Africa, don't think it will go away by moving to another country. Their challenges might just be slightly different.
Physical infrastructure, for instance. In a country like Zambia, how does that differ from what we used to in South Africa?
Yeah.
I'm thinking roads.
Yes, maybe I'll give an example.
Storage.
Yeah, maybe an example of farmers and agro dealers, and whether it's an equipment supplier. Let's give an example of a guy used to being, say, in South Africa, good roads, and we do have really good road infrastructure if you compare it to any other African country. So what will they be in store for if they move to Zambia? So your big farming blocks are not close to Lusaka, where your access to good infrastructure is airports, rail, road. They are far out, Mazabuka, Mkushi, Serenje, Solwezi. These are places that are in excess of 2-3 hours driving on poor roads, dangerous poor roads. So yeah, definitely a big constraint is your road network. If you take someone in the Solwezi area trying to move their product, and we've got farmers moving into that area, Zimbabwean and South African farmers looking to develop that region in a new farming block, beautiful land, water available. Their big constraint is they are 2,000 kilometers away from the nearest harbor with poor road infrastructure. So they can either from Zambia move your product to Durban, to Maputo, maybe to Dar es Salaam or Windhoek. Those are your options. Guys are currently moving macadamias from the Mkushi central region in Zambia to be processed in Nelspruit. And then from there, the product moves to either Durban or Richards Bay to be exported to your Asian market. So there are big challenges and it's a big cost as well, given diesel expense. So I think that's the one major challenge. And also now, say you're a farmer or an agro dealer in one of those regions that is yet to be developed into a hub, you battle to get your parts in. So if you now have a broken tractor and you're sitting in Serenje, you first have to drive an hour to get to Mkushi to order it from someone who has to fly that part in. So a lot of farmers own airplanes in the Mkushi region. Last time I was there, I counted a number that it's a standard requirement for some areas to have your own light aircraft to get in and out of a region.
Yes. And storage facilities, that is important when we talk about agricultural products, especially for export, where you need rules of origin and quality controls.
Yeah.
How does that compare with South Africa, for instance?
So I think South African farmers are spoiled with how well established our secondary market is with regards to service delivery of storage and the other input suppliers. So if you're out in a rural area of Mozambique or Kenya or Zambia, where the farming blocks are, generally you have to transport. Transport infrastructure is developing, logistics companies are moving into those areas, but you still are responsible for the marketing components after farm gate. So farmers in South Africa are, as I said, the service delivery is there to pick up your product, sell it for you. You obviously have to still look at prices and see where competitive prices and competitive offtake is, but that is much reduced in the African countries. I'd say generalizing as well, because in the Nairobi region there's still good infrastructure being developed, in the Lusaka surrounds as well if you go to Gaborone. In the big centres there seem to be more, I'd say, a concentration of service delivery, and as you move out, so it lessens. But if you take, for example, talking about Mkushi, recently new silos have been developed by a couple of farmers that came together in a cooperative type of company structure. And it reminds me of what happened many years ago in South Africa, when there was a demand and farmers had to come together to meet that demand, to jointly pool their resources to solution where they had shortcomings. So that will definitely be a driver, and it's a trending issue in a lot of countries where you find if the infrastructure is not there, farmers will have to solution for themselves.